Welcome to Lab 6. In Lab 6, we're just going to add some more for loops, and they're going to rearrange your high score list depending on how high a score your player is going to get. So you're going to open up the quiz show project, of course. We've been using fairly simple for loop conditions, and we're going to introduce a little more complicated one with our program here. But usually here we have our we initialize our integer at 0. And then we increase it and have a condition usually going here. So what we're going to do is we're going to complicate the condition a little bit so that we can get our high scores rank. So we're going to check the lowest winning score, the fifth one, which is goes from 0 to 4, and we're going to see if the winnings is higher than that, higher or equal to that. Or it's here's the high score, or it's equal to or greater than the high score. So we decrement it until we get there. So let me show you what this looks like a little bit better. Okay, you can see that the value of I starts at 4, the lowest rank. Okay, then it checks to see if the winning if the winnings is less than the high score variable, the lowest high score variable, or equal to it, and then it decreases 1 if this is not true. Okay, so it checks it each time. Is it less than or equal to the high score that's posted? Rank 3, rank 2, rank 1, rank 0. And then, of course, it's going to stop at rank 0 because it can't go any higher than the highest score, right? So it checks it checks the scores from lowest to highest. So that's why you have a decrement variable here. So this is just a little explanation about what we're going to be doing. I know it sounds a little complicated, but it really isn't once you start thinking it through. So now we're going to declare our variable rank. And now we're going to go down and write our code, write our for loop. Right before print the high score list. Now this code is going to figure out the high score's rank. If the user's score is high enough to get on the list, it has to figure out if they're 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or the new high score. Actually, we're asking if it's greater than or equal to 5th place. If this is the case, we'll run this code. So we're going to get the user's rank here. This is where our fancy code comes into play. We start at 5th place, then we see if the winnings are greater than or equal to 5th place, and it's not greater than the 1st place. If then we check 4th place, and 3rd place, and 1st place, all the way up the line. We put our curly brackets. So we assign the rank to whatever place you fall into. Don't forget, this minus means a decrement. It means you subtract each time you go around, not add. So now that we went through all the trouble to tell the player to figure out what rank the player is, we might as well tell them, right? So we'll see out a thing that tells them you got a high score. So now you got to check your work, make sure it works. So you debug your code. Then when you finish debugging, you start it without debugging. And it's not going to do anything just yet because you haven't told it to. Okay. But there you go. If it doesn't run, check your codes, especially this new fancy-dancy code you just put about winning, your decrement code. Just check it out carefully against what the script says you should have. And this here is page 5 of 14 on Lab 6. So now we're going to rearrange the list. If the player's score gets on the high scorer list, you're going to need code that moves all the previous names, players' names and scores one spot down on the list. So now we're going to add the code that's going to do this. So we're going to find that cout line that we just wrote, you got a high score. Before that line, we're going to add a couple empty lines and comment, rearrange the high scores list. Okay, under that, we're going to type our for loop. And we're going to have for I equals 4, I not equal to our rank, and then we're going to decrement. We're going to do a for loop. So we're going to check out for last place, and then we're going to move them down the list for each one that doesn't reach the player's score. After we add our curly brackets for the for loop, we're going to type our high score, I is going to equal the high score of I minus 1. High score, high score goes down 1. And high score name goes down 1. So now we're going to store the new name and score. So we're going to find the line, you got a high score, and under that line we're going to cout, please enter your name. And then of course we're going to have to put the C in for the high score name, and whatever that I is going to be the rank, right? The rank of the player. Okay, under that line we're going to type cout, please enter your name. Of course, after this, we're going to have to do the C in and put that particular name in whatever rank position they hold. And then we'll have to have that high score rank equal their winnings. So you run the debugger. And you just go through it and do the correct ones. So it should tell you have a high score, and you put in your name. Put in your score, and it should push everybody else down. So you see Ms. for Miss Hadley, I guess, and me beat out Natasha. I'll bet you were wondering when we were going to ask more questions. Well, now is the time. So now we just go and add our next question. And we go and we copy what we have our set values for question 2. And we just paste them below it. And then we just change that Q2 to Q3. And we just ask new questions. We put in a new question there and put in new answers. Then we put in our new right answer, our new prize amount. And now we'll go and we'll add we'll go and we'll actually put in the questions here to ask. And we'll do the same, and we'll add, have altogether 5 or 6 questions for your game. So now you just check your work against the code here on page 10 of Lab 6 and run your debugger. So just see how you do here. So make sure when you get your high score, put in your name. And you can see where your score fits in. Okay. Now, of course, like you always do, what you want to do is you want to add your system pause at the very end of the main function before the last curly brace. So you just go to find it and you just put in your system pause. So do your last debug of your code, make sure everything goes fine, make sure it looks like the example here on page 12. Then you're ready to run your executable. So navigate to your QuizShow debug file, double click QuizShow exe and run your program. This is going to be the executable version of what you've made, and you're all done with this project. If you want a little extra challenge now, you can use what knowledge you've learned to make a program that will reset the high scores that are stored in your high scores text. Try it out. See you in class.